3 years ago, I settled into Willow Creek, a quiet suburban enclave I thought would be a peaceful retreat after a decade of chasing financial crooks as a forensic accountant. My job had taken me into the murky underbelly of corporate fraud and law enforcement sting operations, but I was ready for a simpler life, mowing my lawn, sipping coffee on my porch, maybe even joining a book club. Little did I know, my skills would soon be put to the test right in my own backyard, in a battle that would unravel a web of deceit and bring down a tyrant named Linda Harper. Linda stormed into our lives as the newly elected president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, wielding her authority like a scepter. From the moment she took charge, she ruled with an iron grip, her sharp eyes scanning the neighborhood for the slightest infractions. A hedge trimmed a fraction too short, a mailbox painted a shade too bold, nothing escaped her scrutiny. Violation notices fluttered onto doorsteps like autumn leaves, each carrying fines that stung like a slap. Most residents grumbled but paid up, too weary or intimidated to challenge her. But something about the escalating fines and Linda's smug demeanor gnawed at me, a faint whiff of something rotten beneath her polished exterior. It started innocently enough. One crisp Saturday morning, as I grabbed my newspaper, Linda appeared on my driveway, clipboard in hand, her brunette ponytail swinging with precision. "Your garage door needs repainting," she announced, her voice dripping with self-righteous glee. "It's not the approved shade of taupe." I blinked, suppressing a laugh. "Good morning to you too, Linda. My door matches the HOA guidelines perfectly." I checked. She adjusted her designer sunglasses, unfazed. "The board review said the color palette. You have 2 weeks to comply, or it's a due law 400 fine." She handed me a notice, her lips curling into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I scanned the paper, my accountant's instincts twitching. "I don't recall any vote on new guidelines. When was this decided?" Linda waved a manicured hand dismissively. "The board doesn't need to notify residents for every decision. That's why you elected us. The updated rules are in the HOA office." As she strutted off to terrorize my neighbor, I felt a prickle of unease. This wasn't just about a paint color, something was off. The next day, I cited the HOA office, requesting the new guidelines and recent board meeting minutes. What I found, or rather, didn't find, set off alarm bells. There was no record of a vote on the color palette, and the financial statements showed a suspicious spike in fine revenue with no corresponding community improvements. The neighborhood pool still had cracked tiles, the playground renovation was a pipe dream, and our HOA fees had jumped 25 fan tram in a year, supposedly for upgrades, that never materialized. When I asked for contractor bids and receipts, Linda called me herself, her voice sharp as a blade. "Why are you digging into this, Mark?" she demanded. "The board handles finances. Residents don't need to worry." Keeping my tone even, I replied, "As a homeowner footing the bill, I have a right to know where my money's going. It's in the bylaws, section 5.2. There was a long pause, then a curt, "Fine. I'll send you some documents, but this is a waste of time." What arrived was a mess: redacted vendor names, round number expenses, and no supporting records. To a forensic accountant, it screamed fraud. I started talking to neighbors, and a pattern emerged. Jake, a retired teacher, got fined for a rental violation, despite levying alone. Sarah's approved patio was suddenly deemed non-compliant, costing her thousands in fines. Everyone's fees were climbing, yet the streets were potholed, and the community garden was a weed patch. At the next HOA meeting, I raised these concerns, asking about 3 landscaping companies listed in the expenses, none of which anyone had seen. Linda's face tightened. "We're out of time," she snapped, slamming her gavel. "Submit your questions in writing." The room fell silent, her allies on the board avoiding eye contact. That was when I knew this wasn't incompetence. It was a cover-up. Quietly, I rallied a few trusted neighbors, Jake, Sarah, and a former board member named Ellen. We formed an investigative committee, pooling public records and the scraps of documents we could get. The deeper I dug, the uglier it got. Overdue law $150,000 had been paid to vendors that didn't exist or were tied to Linda's side business, a consulting firm with a vague website and no client reviews. We were preparing to present our findings to the neighborhood and possibly the authorities when Linda struck back. One evening, I found a notice taped to my door, accusing me of running an illegal business. From my homie, a blatant lie. The fine? A jaw-dropping $2,500, with a warning that non-payment would lead to a lien on my property. The next morning, I filed an appeal and requested a hearing, as the bylaws allowed. Linda called within hours, her voice low and menacing. "Drop this little crusade, Mark, and pay the fine. We can put this behind us. Or things will get ugly." I couldn't help but smile. "Are you threatening me for asking for transparency, Linda?" She didn't flinch. "I'm enforcing the rules. Pay by Friday, or we'll proceed with the lien. And defamation is a serious offense." The line went dead. Her threat was a mistake, a legal line crossed. I called a friend at the district attorney's office, who confirmed this was intimidation to conceal financial misconduct. Days later, a defamation lawsuit from the HOA arrived, Linda's signature bold on the page. That same day, Jake's car was towed from his driveway for a fabricated parking violation. The message was clear: back off or pay the price. But we didn't retreat, we doubled down, filing a county complaint and gathering signatures for an emergency homeowners meeting. Linda and her cronies tried to block it, but state law was on our side. The night before the meeting, my phone rang at 11 p.m. It was Tom, a neighbor across from the HOA office. "Mark, you need to see this," he whispered. "Linda and the treasurer are shredding documents in the office. Garbage bags full of paper." I called the cops. I grabbed my keys and sped over, REVYing just as Linda and her accomplice loaded black bags into her SUV. I parked to block her exit, phone camera rolling. "Late night office hours, Linda?" I asked coolly. She froze, her face pale under the streetlight. "This is HOA business. Move your car," she barked, but her voice trembled. "Destroying EVY Denke in a financial investigation is a crime," I said, stepping closer. "I'm a forensic accountant. I can reconstruct those records, bags or no bags." The treasurer stammered. "It's just routine cleaning." I raised an eyebrow. "At midnight before a financial review? I don't think so." Linda's composure cracked. "I'm the president." "You have no authority!" she shrieked. Before I could respond, a police cruiser pulled up, 2 officers approaching. "We got a call about suspicious activity," one said, eyeing the bags. "What's in there?" Linda tried to spin a tale of private HOA matters, accusing me of harassment, but I introduced myself and laid out our fraud allegations. When the officers peeked inside the bags and saw shredded financial records, they called for backup. A detective arrived, and by dawn, the truth unraveled. A warrant for Linda's home computer revealed fake invoices, kickbacks, and personal purchases overdue law $220,000 siphoned from HOA funds during her 2-year reign. Linda was arrested for fraud, embezzlement, and EVY Denke destruction, her confident facade crumbling as she was cuffed. At her arraignment, facing up to 15 years and fines triple her theft, Linda collapsed, sobbing. "I was just following the rules." The judge wasn't swayed. As she was led away, mascara streaking her face, the neighborhood exhaled. Willow Creek was free, but the scars of her tyranny lingered, a reminder that even in quiet suburbs, greed and power can fester until someone dares to shine a light.